Welcome back to the program. The art of the ceasefire. That's what I'm calling this segment. Because clearly, there isn't really a ceasefire. On both sides, for that matter. First off, Israel has struck 200, that's right, 200 Hezbollah targets in just the last 24 hours inside Lebanon. Now, typically and normally in normal times in the past, the Lebanese government would protect Hezbollah and, quite frankly, would do something against Israel or anyone else that bombed into their country, right? But the thing is, even the Lebanese government is sick and tired of Hezbollah. So Hezbollah is getting bombed right now by Israel with the blessing, you heard that correctly, with the blessing of the Lebanese government. That is correct. The Lebanese government is coordinating with the IDF and telling them, hey, here's where these Hezbollah scum are hiding. Go bomb them. That's what's happening right now. No one's really even talking about it or even reporting about it. The Israel Defense Forces have struck more than 200 Hezbollah targets in Lebanon over the past 24 hours. Let's see. Israeli forces are targeting launch sites in an effort to prevent rocket fires fired against Israeli civilians. The Lebanese government is instructing the IDF on where these targets are located. Now, it's interesting to point out that part of the, quote, ceasefire, which isn't really a ceasefire, Lebanon and Hezbollah in particular, was not included in it. J.D. Vance said that. President Trump said that. Of course, Bibi Netanyahu said that. Israel Katz, the war minister guy, he said that, defense minister guy. So they are continuing to basically bomb the living heck out of Hezbollah right now as we speak, while the Iranians are in, Islamabad in Pakistan talking to J.D. Vance, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner. So interesting stuff. So I wanted to point that out first. Now, here is another interesting thing that this person, again, as I read a while back, a couple of days ago, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, you may remember that the kinetic war strategy, and I explained how the natural gas has now been hit, and therefore Iran didn't realize it, but they made it worse for them, and Saudi Arabia and the allies and things like that, and everybody is coming to the United States of America for gas and oil. We're going to get to that in a second. But this guy kind of lays it out an interesting way, and he said, I'm starting to think that we are currently witnessing the transition in Trump's 7 steps of maximum pressure campaign. Step number 1, the U.S. has already asked for the moon, initial pre-conflict demands. Step number 2, whipped out the big button, decapitated Iranian leadership, and of course destroyed the Iranian Navy. Step number 3, punch someone in the mouth. Well, that would have been Infrastructure Day, right? Step number 4, break bread and try to make friends, so they think. The ceasefire is the magnanimous gesture. Trump went from a whole civilization is going to die overnight to let's work out a deal and let's bring the Middle East into the golden age, okay? He accepted Iran's 10-point plan, but not really, because let's face it, he just wants to get them to the negotiating table, and he has his reasons for that. He invited delegations to Islamabad. Markets then rallied, and the world exhaled. Now you sit down, you break bread with your enemies, you behave in a generously manner, and you make the offer and the other sides believe that the deal is real and imminent, which means that when you do decide to, quote, walk away, which of course you will because they're not going to agree to what we need them to agree, now all of a sudden you have hampered them, you have hurt them to their own people, to the own IRGC, to their own Quds Force, to their own Besieged, who are absolutely 100% against any type of ceasefire. But yet, the Iranian government is going to try to negotiate, not in good faith because they're all liars and scumbags, right? But they're going to pretend that they're going to go negotiate in good faith. Well, guess what? They got to go back. When they get nothing and President Trump says, sorry, deal's off, ceasefire is over, these people are screwed because they're going to get killed quicker than even the protesters by the IRGC and the rest of them because they're already being called traitors. This is the mindset of the ceasefire and why President Trump may have done this, because it really does put the, quote, leaders in a very tough predicament when this fails, which eventually it will fail. Now they got to go back. They got to go back to Iran. And who are they going to meet? They're going to meet an angry, pissed off IRGC, Quds Force, Besiege, all these different people. And so that's what's happening. And if they reopen the Straits of Hormuz, it's going to get even worse for them. Why? Very simple. Because they've shown their cards, they've capitulated, and if they come back from Pakistan without a deal, they have failed, which of course, most likely, they will. So, President Trump, once again, has gotten top brass, top leadership in Iran to blink, and they did big time. And all he had to do was say, I'm going to blow up your entire civilization. This is the genius of this man, okay? Genius. So apparently these quote-unquote talks have gone on for 15 hours. A little bit of break in between. 15 hours. They're already into day number 2. It's basically a stalemate. America's saying, we want you to do this, 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 and this. And Iran is saying, nope, we want the ability to be able to continue to do this, this, and this. So you can clearly see that at this point, it's not going to work. And even President Trump said, I don't care. He goes, I don't care what the negotiations are. I've already won. So it doesn't matter to me whether there's a deal or not. Again, this is the shadow diplomacy that I have been talking about. Okay? President Trump is the master at this. This is a psychological warfare just as much as it's physical kinetic energy. And that is what the Iranians don't understand. They understand force. They understand missiles. They understand drones. They understand IRGC commanders killing everybody in the streets, right? But they don't understand the emotional aspect and the psychological aspect of what this war really and truly is. It is a shadow diplomacy campaign masquerading as legitimate talks, and clearly they're falling for it. And they've been falling for it. They've been falling for it since day one. It's beautiful to see. It's absolutely beautiful to see how we are just completely annihilating them and outsmarting them, and then making them weaker to the people that are still there, to the people that have still survived underground, whatever. Now they got to come back to that. Not good. Not good for them, that's for sure. And the best part, and I truly mean this is the absolute best part, and it's exactly what I have said all along. I have said once the Iranian regime falls, which it's very close to falling, everybody's going to have to come to the United States of America for oil. That's it. We're the only game in town. China, you hear that? Russia, you hear that? Everybody, you hear that? You got to come to us. And once again, I was correct. Now, why am I pointing that out? Well, very simple. Because right now, there are hundreds of empty oil tankers racing to be first to get oil from the United States of America. That's right. The oil trade has completely changed since the war with Iran started, and of course, the United States is the main benefactor of it. Massive numbers of completely empty tankers, oil tankers, some of the largest anywhere in the world, are heading right now to the United States to load up with the best oil and gas anywhere in the world. Of course, this is Trump. We have more oil than the next two largest economies combined. Exactly as I said before the war started. During Venezuela, I was saying the next thing he's going to do is go into Iran, and he's going to consolidate that oil and forget it. Everybody's going to reset the whole world order right to us. Here it's happening. I was exactly right. It is happening. We have more oil than the largest oils and higher quality. We are waiting for you. Quick turnaround, President Donald J. Trump. President Trump also shared this morning the good news for the U.S. economy, as well as his thoughts on the TDS-stricken mainstream media and their lies. Trump. The fake news media has lost complete and total credibility. Not that they had any to begin with, of course. Because of their massive Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS, they love saying that Iran is, quote, winning this war, when in fact everybody knows that they have already lost this war. Their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft apparatus is non-existent, their radar is dead, their missiles are gone, their drone factories have all been largely obliterated, along with the missiles and drones themselves, and most importantly, their longtime leaders are no longer with us. Then he says, praise be to Allah. This guy is crazy sometimes. He truly is. I mean, I don't know how that plays out in the rest of the Muslim world, but it's hysterical. The only thing they have going is the threat that a ship may hit into one of their sea mines, which, by the way, all 28 of their mine dropper boats are also lying at the bottom of the ocean. We're now starting the process of clearing out the Straits of Hormuz as a favor to countries all around the world, including China, Japan, South Korea, France, Germany, and many others. And again, all those countries he named are all dependent on having the Straits of Hormuz wide open, right? That's why he should take it and take the Straits, and he probably will. And then it says, incredibly, they don't have the courage or the will to do this work themselves. Very interestingly, however, empty oil-carrying ships from many nations are all headed to the United States of America to load up with American oil. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And then he put out a map of the empty oil tankers, and there's a hell of a lot of them, I can tell you that. And they're all coming to the United States for oil. The war with Iran has placed the United States as the country to go to for oil, and the entire world knows it. OPEC? Sit on this and rotate, OPEC. You mean nothing. Nothing at all. We are OPEC. We are the crude oil reserve country in the entire world, and everybody needs to get down on their knees. We'll gladly unzip, and you can service the United States of America. You want oil? That's how it's going to go. Boom. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.